Cindy, would you describe a little bit about your role? I know you are head of HR, but like what is the scope of things that you do relative to hiring and subsequently assessing employees?
Well, I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for Texon, and I'm responsible for all the recruiting, employee relations, employee development within the organization, and recruiting is a big piece of it, making sure we get the right people at the company.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, right? So give me a little history of how and why you started working with the ThinkX technology and team.
Well, we have always been very intuitive when it comes to our interview process. Most of us on the leadership team here at Texon are very intuitive, so we kind of pick up on things, but we felt like it was important for us to find a tool that could help us kind of quantify or measure how good we were at this from the recruiting perspective, as a way to say, okay, we feel something about a candidate and this is what we think they're like. Now, is there something that we can do to help us actually determine, yes, we were correct or were we not? Also, we have some pretty high performing individuals at our organization. And as a leadership team, we thought, well, we want to hire more like them. So what can we do to hire more like them? We think we know, but is there something that we can do to measure that against candidates to make sure we're getting the right people in the right roles? And so that's how we came to ThinkX. We were able to understand if they had high relationship and interpersonal skills, which are important when you're looking for someone in a sales position, or are they high systematic and controlling when we're looking for someone in the accounting function where they need to be more detailed and orderly in their thought process. So ThinkX's program helped us really quantify and measure who we were getting on board, so we can make a better informed employment decision.
That's great. And I give you so much kudos for saying, we think we know, we're pretty good, but we can do better if we have some quantitative measurement. So I'm curious, what have been the results? What have you seen as a result of using that measurement, that kind of a tool in your hiring process?
We have found that we were pretty good at assessing people just through our normal recruiting process, but it also helped us to really fine tune that and make sure that when we were hiring people, we were hiring people into roles that they would be most successful at. We did have some candidates come through that we realized weren't as strong in a certain area that we needed them to be, and maybe they would have been really successful for us in a different role. And so it helped us to have conversations with those candidates saying, hey, we love you. We would love to have you part of Texon, but maybe this isn't the right role, but we have this one. And so it helped us to divert candidates. It's also helped us because now we love the tool so much that we actually use it as an employee development like program for our employees that are currently with us. So for example, if I have people in accounting or whatever, I'll have them go through that assessment. And so then we'll use it to help coach them in areas where they may need development.
That's great. So both hiring new employees as well as developing existing employees.
Absolutely.
That's great. Can you give me a sense of where and how you use it in the hiring process? Is in the beginning or towards the end? Like, just give me a sense of how it fits in.
We typically do it towards the end of the process because we want to make sure that whoever we're hiring is going to be a good fit for Texon. We feel like they've checked off all the boxes for us, and we like to make sure that they're really wanting to join the company. And we use this as part of that tool. We say, okay, we've done everything. We've met with you several times, which is part of our process, face to face. And so now let's do this assessment, and that's just one piece of it. And so we find that we had to have somewhat of a relationship with the candidate before we have them use the tool.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I think that there are a lot of tools out there. And when I say tools, assessments and otherwise, in terms of helping you hone the process. So for somebody who hasn't used this, like, I guess what would be your best advice, or why should they use this one in particular?
We have found that it's really quick. It only takes about 20 minutes for the candidate to take. If a lot of them complete it sooner than that. And the results that come back are very quick and they're in graph form. So it's really easy with just a little bit of training for someone to come in and be able to very quickly from the graph determine if this is going to be a fit or not. There's not a lot of analysis or thoughts that we have to do once we receive the results. We're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we thought, or maybe there's some areas that we need to develop. It's also helped us if we do make a hiring decision to bring them on board, we use that assessment results to set up their development plan for them when they're onboarding. So for example, in the goal setting process, that sort of thing, we use that tool as part of that.
Oh, that's great. I really appreciate that. Any other aspects that I have not asked you, because you are clearly not only a fan, but know exactly how you want to use that, the process and the tool. And I'm really, really grateful for your insight on it.
Well, we have started, as we started to roll this out to everybody in our organization, having them do the assessment, it has really helped us in goal setting and employee development for everybody in our organization. And then determining, like when they say, hey, I would like to move into a more commercial role, or I want to be in management, we can use that tool and assessment to determine, okay, you've done, this is your assessment. Here's some things that let's work on over the next 6 months and year to help get you there. And sometimes we'll use the coaching through ThinkX to do private coaching with the individual to help grow them, but also we'll use that to identify other training programs outside of that to help grow them and develop them in those specific areas highlighted by the assessment. So it's been very, very cost effective for us as an organization, and we've seen great results. We also like the ability to measure how someone does before the coaching with ThinkX, and then after coaching, we do another 30 days after another assessment with them, and we can see how much the needle moved. So I think that's really good to quantify that.
That's great. Yeah, I find that a lot of assessments will kind of put you in a box and tell you this is who you are, and that's the end of it. So the fact that you're doing before and after measurement, that it's giving you some of that quantitative measurement that you started saying, I think that that's really, that's terrific. And I'm so happy to hear that it's benefiting your hiring as well as the development. That's just really inspiring.
Good.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us.